As MotoGP heads into its 3-week summer break, there's little doubt left in anyone's mind. Marc Marquez is well on his way to sealing the 2025 world title, and he might just do it long before the season-ending race in Valencia. With 12 rounds completed, the factory Ducati rider has achieved a staggering level of dominance, winning 8 Grand Prix, 11 sprints, and racking up 8 perfect weekends, collecting the maximum 37 points in each of them. The result? A jaw-dropping 120-point lead at the top of the championship. This kind of dominance hasn't been seen since Well Marquez himself in 2019. That year, riding for Honda, he had 7 wins at this stage, and led the standings by 78 points. But back then, he still faced worthy opposition. Andrea Dovizioso, Danilo Petrucci, and Alex Rins each managed to defeat him in tight races. Fast forward to 2025, and no one has come close. The only battles Marc is fighting now are with himself, his concentration, his physical limits, and the memory of his past mistakes. Even when you strip out the sprint points and focus solely on traditional Grand Prix scoring, Marquez in 2025 is nearly equal to the level he reached in 2019. And that's despite a crash and DNF in Kota, a tough ride to 12th after a fall in Jerez, and a cautious podium in Silverstone. In 2019, he had just one non-finish after 12 rounds. In other words, the results speak volumes, but the context makes them even louder, and the biggest difference between then and now. The rider himself, in 2025, Marquez is no longer the reckless phenom. At 32 years old, he is a mature, calculating, and physically re-engineered athlete. The arm injury he suffered at Jerez in 2020, the one that derailed his trajectory and kept him sidelined for months, forced a complete reinvention of his riding style. He no longer rides at 100% every lap. He rides smarter. He chooses his battles, and when the moment is right, he strikes with surgical precision. That transformation was on full display at Brno, 5 years to the weekend from the crash that changed everything. Marquez took victory in both the sprint and the main race, not with brute aggression, but with control, timing, and racecraft that showcased a new side of the 8-time world champion. "I bet on myself at the end of 2023, he said, reflecting on his decision to switch to Ducati. "I took the best bike and wanted to see if I could come back to my best level. I did. The last 5 years were tough, but I learned, and now I'm more calm, more mature." His performance numbers are as astonishing as the story behind them. He's averaging 31.75 points per weekend, out of a possible 37. That's 10 more than his closest rival, his younger brother, Alex Marquez. And for the first time in Ducati's history, one of its riders has won 5 consecutive Grand Prix. As things stand, no other rider is within realistic striking distance. Alex trails by 120 points, Bagnaia is 168 behind, and Bezzecchi is a distant 225 points off. It would take a miracle or a misfortune to stop Marc now. And yes, history reminds us that nothing is guaranteed. McDoohan in 1992 looked unbeatable before injury struck, and Marquez himself knows how quickly things can unravel. But barring the unexpected, this championship is under lockdown. At Brno, his clinical control continued. Despite a crash in qualifying caused by Johann Zarco's fall ahead of him, Marquez recovered brilliantly. In the sprint, he took the lead by turn 3, responded smartly to a tire pressure warning by tactically following Pedro Acosta mid-race, and then calmly overtook him on the penultimate lap. In the Grand Prix, Bezzecchi made things interesting in the early laps, but Marquez waited patiently, then passed on lap 8 and pulled away with cold precision. He never relinquished the lead. His fastest lap, a 1 minute 53 seconds and 691 milliseconds, came on lap 15. On the final lap, despite already leading, he still dropped a 1 minute 53 seconds and 8 milliseconds, proving he's not just winning, he's staying mentally sharp deep into races. "That mistake in Austin came from losing focus," he admitted. "So I started to vary my pace, push hard on some laps, relax on others, just to stay mentally active. Not playing with the bike's limits, but with my own mind. Bezzecchi gave a solid performance and finished just under 2 seconds behind, but admitted after the race that Marquez had another gear he couldn't match. Bagnaia, meanwhile, showed flashes of hope with pole position, but braking issues once again sabotaged his race. His fightback got him to third, but that's been the ceiling for him all season. Meanwhile, Alex Marquez has often been Marc's biggest challenger on track, but his inconsistency has made things easier for his brother. At Brno, a crash on lap 2, while making an impatient move on Joan Mir, earned him a long lap penalty for Austria, hurting his podium hopes before the race weekend even begins. In one of the best moments of my career, Marc said after the race, "I can manage races the way I want. I feel great with the bike, with the team, and the rhythm we've found together. That team chemistry matters." Marquez is still relatively new at Ducati, but the synergy between rider and crew is already delivering historic results. Despite his success, Ducati as a whole didn't have a great weekend in Brno. Only 2 Desmocedesis made the top 10, was dropped from 8th to 11th due to a penalty. While it's too early to hit the panic button, the question arises, is Ducati too reliant on Marc Marquez? In contrast, Aprilia is showing encouraging progress. Marco Bezzecchi lead early, finished second, and ran an average pace just 0.094 seconds per lap, slower than Marquez. Raul Fernandez brought home a strong 5th place, and Jorge Martin, returning from injury and missed races, finished a respectable 7th. Martin's performance is worth noting. After missing nearly the entire season and all of preseason testing, he still ended up just 15.8 seconds behind Marquez with an average pace only half a second off his teammate Bezzecchi. Aprilia, quietly, is starting to close the gap. They've now claimed a win and multiple podiums since May. If they maintain this trajectory, the second half of the season may not be as predictable as it seems. Marc Marquez remains firmly in control of the title race, but he's not relaxing, not yet, and with Aprilia gaining momentum, there may still be a few chapters left to write in this historic 2025 season.